Okay, so awareness. Awareness, by definition, is knowledge of a situation or perception of a situation or fact. So awareness is the first step to change. And a lot of people that ask me, oh, how do you increase your awareness? I'm going to give you some great tips throughout this episode about how I increase my awareness and really how you get to the point where you're really looking at life through a more clear lens as opposed to a stained glass window like you would see in a church, right? And that's kind of the metaphor that I like to use the most because a lot of people aren't even aware of some of the things that they're doing and how it's affecting them. And a lot of this, it's going to come to some sort of a practice of a mindfulness or, a meditation, however you like to call it. But it's something where you're really taking a step back and looking at your thoughts from an objective view. And I'm sure a lot of people that are listening to this have gone down this journey, but I think it's always good to have a refresher and really think about it like when you're meditating, you're stepping back and you're seeing your thoughts like cars passing by without judgment, without attachment, right? A lot of us get in trains of thoughts, patterns of thought that we go down and then it takes us into another pattern and then all of a sudden we're just unconsciously living. Right? But we want to live consciously. We want to choose the beliefs that are really going to set us up to achieve the mission or purpose that we've set out for our own lives. And by doing that is getting that awareness. So when we talk about mindfulness, what that kind of looks like for me is there's so many different ways you can do it. And you don't need to sit down and set a timer and breathe for 10 minutes. But I think a lot of it just comes back to your breath. And the reason for a lot of people wondering why it's always the talk about the breath and all this stuff is that the breath is always in the present moment. So that's something you can always take yourself there. And then obviously you can go to sounds, sights, what you're hearing right now. I took a yoga class in 11th grade in high school, and we would take mindfulness walks and we would walk. And it was actually really, really cool because you start to notice all these little sights, sounds, and the biggest thing is we were going to do a little reflection after the walk. So your brain is already pre-framed to look for these things that you already wouldn't have noticed because you'd be in your own head. And so mindfulness, it can be anything to do with the breath. It can be looking at different sorts of senses around, like I was saying, and just kind of using the environment around you to root you back into the present, right? Because I know this doesn't happen to anybody, but you can think of times where you just start sitting there or you start doing something and you're not getting into flow, but you just get lost in the moment, or all of a sudden you're getting angry. And I know nobody listening to this gets angry, but you get so angry and then it's out of control. But what if you noticed what was making you angry? What if you had the awareness to know those triggers, right? Talk about a book in Atomic Habits and talking about how there's, the cue, trigger, reward effect of habits. What if you were aware of that cue? That's the first step to changing that cue, that trigger, right? So that's the first step to changing your behavior. So for me, my mindfulness practice, I'll do one out of the week that's pretty long. It'll be 30 minutes. And I tell a lot of people about this, but I count my breath. So I'll go 1, 2. And if any other thought enters my mind, then I go back to 1. So sometimes I don't make it past 2 for the first 15 minutes. And that's a pretty intense one. Another one is just try counting to 10. You're going to see a lot of people, you will not make it to 3 because you'll all of a sudden go on another train. And after you get out of this meditation, oh man, it just feels like it's a shower for the mind. It's so incredible. And I read this book. It had to do with mindfulness, or it was an audio book, so I listened to it. But it talked about how mindfulness makes time, and that when you do mindfulness activities, then you're so much more focused and you have that ability to focus in your day-to-day activities. Okay, so that's the first thing I'll give you guys. And then the second and third thing, I think a lot of people have practices with them, but even for me, I just finished mine. It's my weekly review. This really increases awareness because you looking at your week, same thing. It's all about just like stepping out of your own shoes, right? And looking from a distance, because a lot of us have blinders on, and once you really start to go like this, you start to be, even when you're in the week, so when you review the past week and then you go to the next week, you start to be even more aware of what's going on, because you know subconsciously that you're going to be writing this stuff down and recording it in your weekly review, right? And you want it to be good things. Okay, so what that weekly review kind of looks like is I'll sit down, okay, and I have a couple different questions, and I'm just going to give you a couple. But basically what I do is I like to go with the good stuff, right? So we'll go, what were my victories? What were the things I made progress on? What am I proud of? What were some wins? What were some magical moments? And a lot of us, when we're living our lives, we just go past all these things. But to me, in my opinion, in my belief system, if my life is worth living, then it's worth recording. And I want to be able to have all this stuff to look back on, for my kids to look back on, for my brothers to look back on, all these sort of things, to see what worked, what didn't work, to see, man, I didn't realize I did these things, or I didn't realize I was going through this, and unlocking my own success code, because we all have our own success code. Okay, so I'll ask those questions about what's going good, what happened that was incredible, and then I'll ask the questions, and I'll rate the week off that from a 1 to 10 scale, and then I'll go to what's not perfect yet, what do I need to carry over to next week, and what do I need to work on more, right? So now I go from questions that we're focusing on, man, I need to, let's celebrate, so I can happily achieve, because we all do more when we're happily achieving. It's a limiting belief to think that you have to suffer or be in a dark place to succeed. It's not true. And then I go to, you can see how I word the questions too. What's not perfect yet? Right? What do I need to carry over to next week? It's not, what did I fail this week? Or what did I fail to accomplish? No, I don't believe really in failure. What is failure? To me, failure is just quitting and stopping. So that's not what I believe in. So I'll look at, what can I work on? And it makes me view it from, you know what, that week is over. Okay, so there's no point in beating myself up over it. But let's get these things, carry them over. What am I going to really attack this week and be intentional with improving? And those questions really help me to get there. Okay, so that's kind of what the week review looks like. So I see what I've done, and then I get ultimately what I want to work on in the future. Okay, and then obviously if I'm doing a week review, I'm doing a day review as well. And the month one, I'm not going to go a ton into that, but the month one is very similar to the week one. So if you want to do those same questions for the month, go ahead, by all means. That's what I do as well. But then the daily one, that's a great one, and that's really quick. And I said it on a podcast I haven't released yet from a while ago with my buddy, stud hurdler, Parker Bowden. But I do this thing, it's FES. So, and I know I just said I don't believe in failure, but I use that word sometimes. So I'll say, what did I fail at, or what didn't go the way I wanted it to go? Because to me, if I'm doing things that are challenging me, that I'm actually not even able to do them, or I'm struggling to do them, that's how you grow. Okay, so I said, failure to me is quitting. So when I talk about this other failure, it's not really it's not ultimate failure to me, but I look at, so what did I fail at? Am I pushing myself? Because if I'm not struggling at things, or if it's not uncomfortable, or I'm not screwing up, then I'm not doing things the right way. It's got to be uncomfortable. And that's how we get to the next best version of ourselves. I was just telling my buddy this last week that, we were talking about the lifts, and he was like, if anyone says the lift is easy, then you're doing it wrong. The weight you should get stronger, so you add more weight. So it's always that same hard, uncomfortable. Otherwise, you're not growing. Okay, so F, right? What did I fail at? What am I struggling at? What am I really pushing myself? And then E is embarrassed. How did I get embarrassed? I got this from Sarah Blakely, okay, the founder of Spanx, and she used to talk about that she would just embarrass herself in an elevator and just do something crazy. Be like, oh, it's been a while since I've been embarrassed. I'm just gonna squawk right now, or I don't know, do something that would make her feel embarrassed. And I really got all this because she used to say when she would come down to the dinner table, her dad would ask these same questions. What did you fail at today? How were you embarrassed? All this sort of things, right? And the dad would be mad if she didn't have answers. But listen to these, right? A lot of families are like, oh, you don't want to do this. Even with myself sometimes, oh, you want to be perfect. Well, perfection, that's not human. And you don't actually want that, because that's not growth. So then the third thing, failures, right? Embarrassed. And then S, that's what did I do that scared the crap out of me? Or was there something that was scary that I did? And that's when I'm day to day, like someone's coming down the hallway that I don't want to interact with or whatever, right? Like that's my scary. I'm going to be like, hey, how's it going? I'm going to go first. I'm going to get out of my comfort zone. So I look for those 3 things, okay? And I'll write that down every single night. It's really, really a good thing. And that's really the foundation of my daily review, okay? So I gave you those 3 things for awareness. And this is just a start. A lot of these, I'm so excited to do more episodes on them, but these are really the building blocks that I would give a lot of people, and really for myself what started it. I used to meditate every single morning before school in high school. I'd go for like 10, 15 minutes. And I think it's really important for everyone at a period of time in their life, even my freshman year in college, I was doing 20 minutes a day, but just to get so aware with yourself and aware of these thoughts that are holding you back and these patterns that you're getting into, okay? So, like I said, some sort of a mindfulness practice, whether that's breathing, whatever, right? A weekly review, okay? It could take 30 minutes, could take an hour. It takes me about an hour to get done, where you're asking those good questions, rating your week, and then you're asking the questions that are going to set you up for success the next week, okay? And then the third one, obviously, your daily review. And I kept it really simple with you guys. Go through that FES, failure, embarrass, scary. That's what I would give you guys to start on your awareness journey. And here's my homework for you guys. And when I post this video on YouTube, I want people to comment. Comment, what are you going to take action on? Okay, so one thing in each of those 3 areas. What's your mindfulness practice going to be? What is your weekly review going to be? And when are you going to do it? And then daily review. When are you going to do your daily review? And really put it into your routine, put it into your schedule. It could be as simple as doing it on your notes, on your phone at the end of the day. You could do it after dinner. But I want to hear, how are you guys going to take action to increase your awareness? I gave you some really good tools. And yeah, that's basically all I got for you guys. So thank you guys so much. Please subscribe, comment, like, share this around. This is what helps this thing grow. And I really just want to help you guys impact your lives. Share this with your family members. Share this with anyone who needs to get more aware and get on that first step to changing their life for the better. Because why live an ordinary life when you could live an extraordinary one? That's all I got. Make it happen. Out.